I wake up each day, your laughter lingers in every ray. 48 years side by side, now you've earned your wings, my heart's still tied.
Hello and welcome to week 3, the social media, sowing seeds of a new business. This podcast is dedicated to the love and memory of my husband, my life partner, the love of my life. Today, we are actually talking about taking our passion from the soil and planting it into the digital world. I'll share how I'm moving from being a grieving widow to social media entrepreneur, and how my actual journey today can help you turn your own passion into a purpose-driven business. Now listen, before we get started, I want you to quickly do something for me. Share my podcast on your Spotify, on your any platform, your Apple Podcast, your Pandora, or also go to your YouTube channel and follow me on YouTube. Click the notification button so that you are aware and you're notified the next time I go live. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. And while you're there, remember, click that thumbs up button. Make sure that you click the thumbs up. That way the algorithms know you're enjoying what I am sharing with you. And before I get any further ado, before I get into the podcast, I want to shout out Siobhan Cook. Siobhan made unstoppable t-shirts for my company. She is a young lady that does apparel and she personalizes it. You can find Siobhan Cook on her Facebook social media platform. It's Siobhan Cook. Please look for Siobhan. She does amazing work. And I am now got my own t-shirts for my Unstoppable podcast. So definitely shout out to Siobhan. Thank you for the beautiful t-shirt, Siobhan. I really appreciate you. So the entrepreneurial leap of power and authenticity. Starting over after a loss feels impossible. It doesn't always look the same for everyone. For me, it was the loss of my husband, my greatest love and my life partner. But for you, it might mean something different. Loss can take many forms. The end of a marriage or a relationship that you once defined as yourself. It could be a loss of a job, a career that gave you identity and purpose. It could even be the loss of your health, your mobility, or your physical strength. What about the loss of your home or your financial stability? Loss can come in so many forms. Even a loss of a friendship or community, or even just a support system. Even through the quiet loss of direction, confidence or faith after just major change, each of these experiences leave us standing in unfamiliar soil. One that feels barren at first, but it's actually full of hidden potential if we dare to plant again. And it's exactly what this journey is about, learning to plant your foot again, learning to move forward in life, regardless of what's happened. Let's start with finding a new purpose. After I lost my husband this past August, my world felt empty. I am now finding my new purpose. The ideal of just starting a business may seem daunting, but it was something that he and I had planned to do before his health took the turn it did. We were going to do a couples podcast. We were going to literally get on and share how two people at the age of 15 still survived to the age of 62 and 63. But I quickly realized that my story, my expertise, and being a child of God, a widower, a mother, a grandmother, professor, master gardener, respiratory therapist, really most importantly was just figuring out after all those titles, how do I navigate my life? How do I move forward that it can be a benefit to help others? This is why I decided to start my podcast. This is why I decided to share every ounce of me, everything about me, was to be able to let people know that I am human, I am authentic, I am a person who has went through a loss like many of you, and I am finding my way. Many of our stories, and we don't realize, could be our superpower. I'm learning that people don't connect with perfection. They connect with people who are authentic, right? So my raw, honest journey is what draws people in. I am no longer just a business owner. I'm a guide. I'm like a friend. I'm that prayer partner. I'm your sister in Christ. Your story is just not weakness when you tell your story. It's a powerful tool that can build a community and a successful business. Let's start with my first topic. We're going to go into grief and integration. Turning pain into public purpose is for your purpose and for power. The heaviest aspects of grief is often just the feeling that your life has been permanently derailed, leaving you isolated. Sometimes just using your story publicly counters this. Grief is a great isolator. If you're not careful, it may isolate you in a place you don't want to be, in a very dark space. The purpose is a grief connector. You want to find your grief in a way to connect to others, and that can also build your strength. When you bravely share your vulnerability, you immediately create a space for others to connect with you and turn your pain into a platform for a service for others. Sharing my pain, when I opened up and started to share my pain and my stressors and my worries and my prayers with people, I want my listeners to hear that I am still coping. I'm not healed with this huge loss. My life took this turn. I am currently getting counseling to learn how to deal with this pain that I feel every day. I keep my pain, loss, and grief in the present tense, not past tense, because my healing journey is now. The how is by just talking to a professional and using the tools they give me. The why is because burying my pain doesn't lead to healing, it leads to breakdown. By being honest about the difficulty that my support, I give my listeners permission to do the same. This is what created the unstoppable me. As an unstoppable person isn't someone who avoids pain. We don't just run from pain. Pain happens. We face it. Unstoppable means it's someone who faces their deepest pain, find the tools to manage it, and uses that journey to help others. The moment you decide to use your grief as a foundation for your purpose, you move from being defined by your loss to being defined by your resilience. So, this shift from private sorrow to public strength is the first step in being unstoppable. Let me ask you a question. And on my podcast each week, I am going to always ask questions. I'm going to try and get some thought provoking answers from you. This is a question I have. What part of your story that you're afraid to share, but you could help someone? We all have a story. We all face pain, but what part of your story you could share to help someone? See, a lot of times we have this thing called fear of being too much. Sometimes the issue isn't it's not the issue you're afraid to share, but the fear of sharing too much of it, being seen as a self-promotional or overly emotional or simply just too much for social media. This is common barrier to authenticity. It happens to the best of us. And it does take away your authenticity. The issue a lot of times, you really just start to worry about your raw emotional story or your business goals will alienate people, lead to judgment, or seem unprofessional. You end up defaulting to that safe, generic content. You don't want to do that. You want to be real. You want to be whole. You want to show your true, authentic self to the world. And that way people connect and they know you. We've all been through pain. We've all had pain in our life. You won't be the first, but you don't know if your experiences your life has taken you through may not be somebody else's. You don't know your smile or your words could even save a life today. So let me give you a little example. I remember holding back the full story about a journey of mine A couple months ago, I was talking with some people at work, and I held back on wanting to explain the goals of this podcast business that my husband and I were wanting to start before I lost my husband, because it was all about us sitting and explaining about this two individuals coming together at the age of 15 and 16 and being married and together and having children and lasting until death did us part at the age of 62 and 63. And I remember just thinking, how do you incorporate or explain to someone part of the podcast my husband and I are going to build will be him explaining also his health journey and his what he's going through, and damn it if he didn't beat it. This is what he and I focus was going to be with our podcast. So the business we knew would not be created to make an income or become rich. It was to really seek a way to find our passion in helping others and yet telling our story in it. But until I shared with everybody that this podcast was going to be my new journey, it's a business venture. This is what I wanted to bring. And I want it because I want my pain to be a purpose in helping others get through their pain. I really did not realize that it would give so much strength to so many other people and bring so much engagement in my life or to others. My podcast is on YouTube for video and then all listening platforms. You can catch me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can catch me on any of the listening platforms, Amazon, anywhere you can find it. Go ahead and check it out and follow me. Let's talk a little bit about just being vulnerable, defining that niche for you. Identify the part of your story that relates directly to the solution of your business. I like to say, use that. Have you heard of the story sandwich? Start with that emotional transition to the lesson and then finish with that call to purpose. Create yourself a criticism filter. Recognize that not everyone will understand you, not everyone will get you, not everyone will be where you at. But just focus on building a community for the people who need your message, who need what you're doing. Make sure that your business principles are going to be a place for you to be patient and nurturing, like myself in my garden, right? When I am growing my seeds and I'm in my garden, I got to remember that it's patience that will take that seed to turn into that plant and then harvest that plant to put a meal on the table for my family. It's nurturing every plant and every seed that I plant out there. Same with my business. I have to nurture it. I have to be patient with it. I have to, each of my businesses that I have to be on that moment of patience and just let God do what he do, right? So just like my garden, my business doesn't grow overnight. It requires patience, a lot of nurturing. I'm learning not to get discouraged by my own weeds that I bring into myself. I have to remember that those negative thoughts in my mind or that doubt that hits my life, I have to remember that's all weeds. Just like pulling them out my garden, I have to pull them out of my head, pull them out of my heart, pull them out of my verbiage. Because as a man speaketh, so shall he be in his heart and his life. So I have to be careful of what comes out my mouth. And then make sure that your weeds doesn't set you back. Know that even in business, as in my garden and in my life, mistakes is going to happen. You don't stop. You keep going. Mistakes happen. We just keep going. A part of business, your principle must also be a lesson of healing. Because if you're using that business as something that means a lot to you, like myself, this is my business. This podcast is helping me heal on the premise and the promise and the prayer that I am also helping others find their healing. You're going to experience losses when it comes to things that we want to do in our life. You're going to let our greatest test of patience is not waiting for a business to bloom, but giving yourself grace on the hardest days. Grief demands a radical kind of patience, right? And not just for healing process, but also for yourself and on your days that you feel that depression or you feel like you can't go any further. You're going to have to find a way to do that. In business, the patient means allowing yourself to have your off days. You know how we take days off from work, we get away, we decompress, we walk away. when you're starting a business, you've got to do the same thing. You've got to be able to have those days off and accept it. Today didn't go like I wanted. I didn't get the amount of numbers. I didn't make those sales. I didn't connect with the people like I wanted, because it's an off day, and it's okay, right? That's a part of what life, period, that we got to be okay when those days happen like that, without being self-critical to ourselves. Your business is birthed from grief. It requires the same tender persistence you apply to your own healing. In a garden, I'm going back to my garden. I'm associating my gardening with my business and with my healing. And all of that comes together for me in a spiritual realm. So in a garden, you give to the soil, and in the return, it gives you a harvest. The more value you give your audience, the more, or your customer, the more you teach, inspire, and help, the more you will earn their trust. This spiritual principle, this one, you guys, is what I call the reciprocity in action, right? So giving your heart, giving your audience, give your customers, give them more. Look for giving than receiving. You earn trust. If you're not following me on YouTube, please go. You got 2 weeks in. This is the 3rd week podcast coming out, and it will be on Wednesday being released. This week, I have 3 interviews I'm doing for our podcast that will be coming up for the month of November. I'm so excited to release these individuals to you guys to help us on our journey to keep us from being unstoppable. So remember I said I wanted to ask you a thought-provoking question? I did. So let me ask you something. How can you give more value to your customer or your audience this week without expecting anything in return? Go ahead. Write down what you can do. The biggest hurdle in starting a business, you guys, is our fear. My faith is teaching me that God has given me the vision, and He will give me the means to see it through. My faith is my greatest business partner. The fear that follows a loss when you're grieving, the fear of starting this business after losing my husband, it was kind of being like a compounding pain in my chest and in my heart. And that was because I knew I had to figure out, you're going to start this new business. You already have multiple. Now you're starting this one because it was you two journey together, my husband and I. And now I'm trying to see here, Paulette, how are you going to make sure that you are able to bring that value? You're starting something new. It was for the two of you, and now it's just you. Can you really do this? Can you literally make this happen? And you can. So the fear of starting a business can be compounded by residual fear of a future loss. I start this now. What's going to happen next? Am I going to take a loss? If I'm going to build something beautiful, will I lose that too? Because it seems like I've had a lot of L's lately. That's that mind. That's what it does to us. When we speak things, sometimes it can take away from our determination. So in order to counter this, recognize that your business isn't a replacement for who you lost. I'm not doing this to replace my husband, but it is a memory of my husband. It's a memorial of my husband. It's the resilience I gain from doing it. And the business needs a positive environment, and so do I. So in order for my business to be successful, it is imperative that my environment stays positive. If I don't have a positive environment, I can't succeed in my business. If I don't make determinations that I keep myself in a positive realm with positive people, I can easily slip and then end up not being where my goals, where God is using me to be. So a business needs a positive environment to grow. And I'm choosing mentors and friends who are supportive and encouraging me. Even some people here on this platform who encourages me to keep going, don't stop, move forward. Their belief helps me believe in me to keep fighting and keep myself in a circle of people who are positive in my life. And that is you, many of you here today. The Unstoppable with Dr. Paulette Scott has taken life and taken form right here in this room where my husband created lots of music. This was his music room. This is the little area where he would sing every evening that he had some downtime. This is where he found his sanction, his peace, his place of peace. And I find it as a peaceful place for me to come live to you, to do my podcasting. Click that YouTube button and follow me. So I got a week assignment. After in each podcast, I give you a weekly assignment. This is this week's assignment for this podcast. What I want you to do is I want you guys to take one concrete step towards turning your passion into business. How many of you want a business? I want you to turn your passion, whatever your passion may be, into your next business. How are you going to do that? I want down your ideal. And I want you to write down a business ideal in a notebook, record it on your phone, or even pull out your tablet or your laptop and start typing it up. And I want you to, or either talk to someone you trust about that passion you have that you would like to see it turn into a business. I want you to commit to doing this for 30 minutes, at least 3 separate days of the week. I want you to commit to writing it down because sometimes we make changes. I want you to go back to what you wrote and look at it again. Just sit back and find out what makes you happy, because your passion is not work. A passion is something that you enjoy doing so much. It never feels like you're working. It's just a part of you. And then I want you to choose your ideal and ensure that whoever you're trusting to share it with, if you're going to share it with anybody, make sure that they're an encouraging person. Don't have someone who has their own fears and don't want to see you bring your truth, your passion to life, your business. Make sure it's someone who's going to encourage you, because see, some people don't have that motivation, and you need to have that circle of friends around you, or people, family, friends, whoever. Then I want you to do me a favor. I want you to pay attention to what you're feeling. When you're writing it down or you're talking about it, pay attention to what you're feeling here. Ask yourself, did I find myself getting overwhelmed? If so, why did? When you were thinking about what you wanted to do, did you feel yourself getting overwhelmed? If so, what made you get overwhelmed? If you had a difficult time trying to get this down, ask yourself why. Why can't I put down something that I know I love to do, and it could be a business venture for me to try to do? And I want you to acknowledge every single emotion you're feeling. I want you to acknowledge that, and I want you to commit to trying it again and restart again, and then plant the seed and see what happens. Go ahead, write down that desire you have for a business. Find out what it is that makes you happy. Write it down. Can you turn it into a business venture? Because if you're passionate about it, you don't have to work at it. If it's your passion and it's your purpose, because it will all come to you. You don't have to stress one day over it. And then I want you to do me one last favor this week. I want you to help others become unstoppable. We're on a mission to share this message of hope. Your support helps us reach more people who need to hear this message. So please go ahead and subscribe. Invite people to the YouTube channel. Share the link. Share if you're on Apple iPod, if you're on Spotify, Pandora, wherever you're listening to. If you're on iHeartRadio, please share it and help those that are looking to move forward. Because each week we are going to bring great guests. Starting the month of November, we are going to have different things to help you move forward with it. And then next week, I want to also talk about my career. Next week's episode will be all about my career as a respiratory therapist and how life-changing lessons taught me about breathing through my panic, because I have had panic, and breathing through my panic and staying in a calm space through my crisis. See, I've spent many years as a respiratory therapist teaching my patients, many people, how to breathe when they're panicked, how to breathe when they feel like they can't catch that next breath, how to calm themselves, to where I had to learn to now teach me. And that's going to be the topic next week, also intertwining into gardening and business as well, and the spiritual aspects of it. So I want to thank you all for joining me. Thank you for coming in my live. It is a very rainy day outside. I would have been out in the garden, but it's raining a lot. And so I am coming here live on my social media. I don't just give you topics. I give you I try to go over examples, and then I give you homework to do to help yourself, and then I give solutions and the reasons why different things work. I'm giving you what I'm learning, and I'm sharing everything I learn with my audience on all of my social media platforms.
So as we're wrapping up this episode, I thank each and every one of you for joining us this week. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Until then, remember, stay blessed and stay prayed up on purpose.
If you were empowered by today's episode of Unstoppable, please become a subscriber on our YouTube channel and also click the notification button. That way you are notified the next podcast drops. Also, please visit us on our website at www.unstoppablewithdrpaulescott.com. On our website, you will see upcoming guest speakers. Remember, you can also catch our audio form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and all the other major audio platforms. Thank you for joining Unstoppable with Dr. Paulette Scott. Until next time, stay blessed and stay prayed up on purpose.
I search for your smile in shadows and light, but the emptiness whispers